So in today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 easy steps that you should be taking to be a more successful photographer. How's it going, everyone? We're back with another great video for you, and honestly, these are just 3 easy steps that you should be taking to be more successful in your photography. These are 3 steps that I and thousands of others who are photographers take. And the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is practice. Practicing your photography is probably one of the most important and crucial parts about being a successful photographer. You know, I remember exactly where I was when I first got my camera, when I first got my DSLR, and how nervous I was, especially the fact that my oldest brother / mentor, George, had told me that I had just entered into a world of unlimited possibilities with a lot of other photographers. And honestly, that intimidated me. I was nervous. It made me kind of a little bit nervous. But then he reassured me and said that that also meant that I could get positive feedback and give positive feedback to other photographers. And that put me more at ease to know that I wasn't in this journey alone, that other people were exactly where I was at one point or other in their photography careers. And that made me feel so much better about it and made me feel excited. And with practicing your photography, I wanted to show you a few photos that I've taken over the years to show you how I improved, and we're going to also be talking about things I loved about the photos and things I didn't love about the photos. So let's look at the first photo. The first photo is this one right here. You know, I remember exactly where I was when I took this shot. It was back in the fall of 2017. I was offering those free photo sessions that I had mentioned in my first video a few months ago. And the mom of this family reached out to me. She was very interested in getting some photos for her family. And honestly, I thought, great, you know, this is going to give me a chance to practice, to improve, and to utilize my skills in this and to improve those skills. And so there's a lot about this photo that I love. And when I first arrived at this location with this family, I was taken back. You know, there's so much about this location that I absolutely love. You know, the natural light, the colors, just the scenery of the nature is just incredible. You know, there was so much that just left me in awe, honestly. So the first thing that when I look at this photo, the first thing that I love about this photo is the fact that they are all looking right at the camera. Now, as a portrait photographer, this is probably one of your main goals. This should be one of your main goals, to have the subject or subjects all looking right at your camera. You know, I get it, especially when it comes to taking portrait photography for families, especially those with younger kids. You know, they don't want to cooperate. You know, they want to look every which way. And I've been there. I've had to grin and bear it through all that. But really, you just have to be patient, and you have to utilize your own tips and tricks to get the kids' attention, to make sure that they are all looking right at your camera. And that is key, to make sure that your subjects are all looking at you. And to add upon that, you should be at least taking 10 photos in each spot that you're standing in to make sure you get good photos. When I took this shot, I took between 10 and 15 shots just to get this one shot. And so when I went back through and I was going through the various shots, I thought in my mind, like, there has to be some good shots in these. And I found this one. And I thought, wow, this is such a cool shot. Like, I was excited. And I remember once I edited it, I sent it over to the client. They were so excited that they even threw it up on Facebook. They got a lot of good feedback from people they knew. And that made me feel good, knowing that something that I did for them helped them to feel better about themselves. Because as a photographer, there's no greater feeling than to make sure that your client is very satisfied with the work that you've done for them. Other things I love about this is that, like right here, you can see glimpses that fall is coming. You know, here in the state of Utah, we are known for great and amazing and gorgeous colors here in the great state of Utah when it comes to fall. You know, you think about the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and even the browns. You know, that just makes it look so cool. And granted, there aren't as many fall colors in this shot, but this, you know, gives me hope to know that fall is on its way. And that means that there's going to be a lot more incredible shots in the soon thereafter. Other cool parts about this that let you know that fall is coming and that just make this photo even that much greater is the fact that right here you can see all these leaves that just help improve this photo even more. It just makes for a great addition to the photo. You know, I love the fact that I mentioned earlier that you have this natural light. And the last thing I love about this photo so much is the fact that they are all color coordinated. As a portrait photographer, this is important. I have had experiences where the client and the rest of the subjects in their portraits were not color coordinated, and it caused for major distraction. And I remember walking away from one of those photo sessions feeling very disappointed and sad because the family just wasn't color coordinated. Their child's face was dirty. You know, there's so much about it that just was distracting, but mostly it was the fact that they were not color coordinated. So that's really those are just a few things that I love about that photo. There's not really anything that I don't love about this photo. So continuing on, the next photo I wanted to talk to you about is this one. Now there's a lot I love about this photo and there's a lot that I don't love about this photo. But let's focus on the positive before we get to the negative. The things I love most about this photo is the fact that, you know, you can see the detail in his eyes. A little backstory that I forgot to mention was that this is of an old high school buddy of mine named Raj. And so I was still doing the free photo sessions at this point. This was taken a few weeks after I took that previous family's photos. And I offered this to Raj and I said, you know, just let me know. I'm just doing these for free, trying to get some experience and some practice under my belt. He thought about it for like maybe a day and a half to 2 days, and then got back to me pretty quickly after that and said that he was very interested and that he wanted to get this scheduled as soon as possible. So going back to the things that I love about this, I love the fact that, you know, you can even see the detail in his hair right here. You can see the detail in his smile. You can even see the detail in his shirt, which is really cool. Those are just a few of the things that I love. There's more that I love about the shot, but the things I don't love about the shot are the fact that, number one, it's kind of tilted. It makes the whole earth look like it's tilted, and that just looks kind of weird, in my opinion. The other thing that I don't like is the fact that you can see this elbow completely, but this one is cut off. Now, as the portrait photographer, you know, the photographer who's taken this, you need to be very mindful of that. If you have to, you know, you need to stay. I would have probably, if I was to go back and take this again, I would take a few steps back and make sure that he, as the subject, was full in frame with my camera, and that there was no distractions in the camera image. This is vital and crucial to your success, because I know that, especially as a consumer, I wouldn't want to get photos of a session that I did that I paid a photographer for and noticed that part of me was missing from some of the images. I would be rather frustrated knowing that part of me was not in the frame of the camera. So you have to watch out for that. And those are honestly just two of the things that I don't love, about this photo. There are probably more that I could go into, but we would be here for a lot longer. So the next photo that we're going to talk about is of the same individual, of Raj, my buddy from high school. And again, there's a lot that I love about this photo, but there's also a few things that I don't love about this photo. So let's talk about the positives before we talk about the negatives. I love the fact that it's a very natural smile. You know, we've all had those photos, or we've seen photos of people who do the forced smiles, and we all know what a forced smile looks like. I don't need to try to describe it or show or do an impression of it, because we all know what a forced smile looks like. But that's a very natural smile. You know, that's so natural, and that's so typical of this friend of mine. That's his natural smile. I also love the fact that, again, you can see the detail in his shirt. You can see the detail in his hair. You can even see the detail on his ring and his jeans. But those are just a few of the things that I really love about this photo. Now, let's focus more, let's gear towards the negative side and focus more on the negative side of things that I don't love about this photo. And the first thing that I don't love about this is the fact that this banister is very distracting. It takes away from the photo. You know, obviously, when I took this, I was very average. I didn't really understand the whole concept of distractions. But if I was to go and take this photo again, I would take a few steps back and make sure that this is not in the photo. I would also make sure that there are other ways to improve this. You know, that I would make sure that you could see all of his legs and possibly even his shoes, because right now it just looks kind of weird. Now, you can easily crop this out. You know, you can crop it out like right there. But that just looks weird in my opinion. You know, it looks like there's something missing, and it makes it, in my opinion, even more distracting because, you know, you only see a partial of his legs and you see his whole torso and everything, but that's all you see. This is still a great shot. I was very happy with it. You know, it'd still be a great shot to throw on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or even Twitter. But these are things that I would watch out for and that I would make sure that you are keeping a sharp eye on, because you don't want those distractions. So the next photo I wanted to talk to you about is one that I took back in the spring of 2018. This was at my oldest brother / mentor, George's oldest son's wedding luncheon. That was a mouthful. That was a major mouthful to even say that. But in truth, that's where it was. There's so much I love about this, and let's focus on what I love first, and then we'll talk about what I don't love. The things that I first thoroughly enjoy is the fact that the color right here on her jacket is amazing, because this was the actual color of her jacket. You know, I got the coloring and the lighting just right on that. I love the fact that you can see the detail in her hair, you can see the detail in Jerem's hair, and you can see the creases in his shirt. You can see the detail on his flower. There's so much that I really love about this. And one other thing that I love is that you can even see the detail in the wood right there. Those are things that I love about this. But now let's look at the things that I don't love about this. The first thing that I don't love is the fact that she has such a small space right here, and he has a ton of space right here. So if I was to take this shot over again, I would take 2 steps to the right and then make sure that they are the center, my focal point of the shot, of my camera frame, because that is essential to your success, to making sure that your focal point, the subject or subjects, are the center or the focal point of your shot. I would also want to watch the lighting right here, because that is a little blinding and distracting. So I would probably take this into like Lightroom or Photoshop and try to tone that down just a little bit, and maybe even try to brighten up his hair right here, because it looks kind of dark, and you would just want to kind of brighten that up a little bit, even though he has dark hair. But honestly, it was a great shot. I was very happy with it, and my oldest brother and mentor, George, was happy with it, and his oldest son, Jerem, who is in the shot, was very happy with it. The next thing the last photo I wanted to talk to you about is this one. So a little backstory on this before I talk about the negatives and the positives is that this was taken back in the summer of 2020, last June, and everybody knows that COVID-19, or as some people call it, coronavirus, put a damper on a lot of people's plans, especially those who were seniors in high school. They missed out on so many opportunities, and that included getting senior pictures done, cap and gown photos done. And so when I thought about this, I thought about how terrible it was and how sad I felt for those who weren't going to have the opportunities that I had my senior year. And so I put out a contest on Facebook, and I said, people can nominate someone who they know that is graduating that year, and that they can really just tell a little bit about them, and that if they won, then that senior in high school would get an hour free session with me, and that would include getting free senior pictures and some cap and gown photos. And so Sam Newson, this is Sam, he was nominated by his older sister, one of my friends, Amy Newson. And he was so excited when he found out that he won the contest, because he was one of those seniors that was very disappointed and sad because he wasn't going to be able to have an actual high school graduation or so many other things. And so this just kind of made his day. Now, looking at this as a photographer, there's so much that I would change. When you look at this, it looks kind of tight, especially right here. It also looks tight down here. Looks tight right there. So you would want to probably take a few steps back and make sure that you get all of his feet in and that his shoulder is completely in frame, because right now it's a little cut off and it just looks really tight. But to focus more on the positive things, I love the fact that you can see the detail in his hair, you can see the detail in his shirt and his watch, and you can even see the insignia of the high school that he went to. There's so much more that I love about the shot, but we just don't have the time to go over that. But those were just a few of the shots that I've taken recently in the past so many years that I just wanted to talk to you about and show you ways that you can improve them or ways that you can just change them up a little bit. And the last two key points I wanted to talk about is getting familiar with your camera. This is essential, and it goes hand in hand with being able to practice with your photography, because you'll start to know the ins and outs, as you should know the ins and outs of your camera. And that includes ISO, shutter speed, f-stops, white balance, and there's so much more that we just don't have the time to go over that you should be knowing the ins and outs of with your camera. And the third thing is have fun with your photography. Photography is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be a chore. It's meant to just really get you to have the opportunity to really show your friends, family, and those around you how you see the world through your camera lens. These are just 3 easy steps that you should be taking to be a more successful photographer. If you're new to the channel, I hope that you'll give this video a like, and that you'll subscribe, and that you'll also turn on the bell, and that you'll continue to follow along with this journey that we take, because my goal with this is to help you to be a more successful photographer. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next video. We'll see you next time.